When you're playing No Limit Hold'em, there are certain hands that are what are known as trouble hands, either because they're difficult to play or they're often dominated by better hands. The following are the top 10 trouble hands to look out for. Number 10 is Jack 8. See, the trouble with this hand comes when the flop comes down Queen 10-9, giving you the second best straight. If an opponent is playing King Jack, a hand most players would play, you're simply doomed to lose most of what you have. It would take a miracle or a ridiculously good read on your part to get away from this trap. Number 9 is Ace 10. While it's an excellent hand when you're playing blackjack, the Ace 10 doesn't do so well in Hold'em. The problem with this hand is that if you happen to catch an ace on the flop, Ace King, Ace Queen, and Ace Jack would all have you beat. Not to mention, if the flop comes Ace 7-4, for example, you now lose to Ace 7, Ace 4, pocket aces, pocket 7s, and even pocket 4s. The only time you can really feel safe with Ace 10 is when you flop 2-pair or a made straight. Number 8 is King Queen. It looks like a really powerful hand, but you have to be careful with this one too. King Queen should be okay for the most part, but if someone else has raised the pot in front of you, they may have either aces, kings, queens, ace king, or ace queen, in which case your hand would be totally dominated. If the flop were to come, say, Queen 7 deuce, you'd have a powerful pair with a pretty powerful kicker. You'd be trapped into the pot, forced to put more money in, and you're doomed against queens, kings, aces, and ace queen. Number 7 is Ace X suited. These hands look very appealing since they're two parts of a powerful ace-high flush. Be careful not to marry drawing hands in No Limit, though, as you'll often be forced to pay an all-in bet to try and complete your flush. The other problem with this hand comes when you flop the ace. If you're playing Ace 6 of hearts and flop an ace, your kicker will lose to anyone else who's also playing an ace. The sixth trouble hand is King 10. This is just not a very strong hand and should be folded in the face of a raise. If you catch a king on the flop, you have to worry about kicker trouble, and if you flop the 10, you'd have to worry about Ace 10 and all of the overpairs. At 5, we have Ace Jack, another hand that is ideal for winning small pots, but it's also destined to lose big pots unless you make a straight, flush, or 2-pair. When the flop comes, say, Ace 8-3, and your opponent makes a big bet at you, you'll be forced to play the guessing game. Does he have Ace King, Ace Queen? Did he flop 2-pair? Did he flop 3 of a kind? Unfortunately, with Ace Jack, you'll be on the guessing end more often than not. Number 4 is Queen 9. The problem here is the same as the issue we face with the Jack 8. When the flop comes King Jack 10, you'll simply be doomed to lose all your money to a player with Ace Queen. That, and if you hit your pair of queens, your kickers definitely beat. Number 3, King Jack, otherwise known as the rookie hand. It seems too good to fold, but not quite good enough to raise with. As a general rule in No Limit, if it's not good enough to raise with, then it's probably not good enough to call. The big problem with King Jack is that it's dominated by too many hands your opponents would likely play. Of course, aces through jacks, Ace King, and even Ace Jack. A novice's favorite hand to hate is number 2, pocket jacks. It's the 4th best pocket pair in the deck, but when someone else puts it all in against you, the decision with pocket jacks is excruciating. Even if you call correctly and your opponent has a hand like Ace King, you're still only going to win the pot a little more than half the time. If you guess wrong and your opponent does have aces, kings, or queens, well, then you're over a 4-1 underdog. The number 1 hand, Ace Queen. Ask any pro what hand they hate most, and Ace Queen will be right at the top of the list. Why? Well, because it is a strong hand in most situations, but when you are up against the dreaded Ace King, you'll be almost a 3-1 underdog to win the pot.